Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa and I'm with Sew Yours. If you are brand new here, I design original sewing patterns and also offer bag making supplies on my website at sewyours.com. Today I am excited to be announcing the launch of our final sewing pattern for 2023. Everyone, please meet the Run Around Wristlet. So I have been busy creating these beauties and refining the pattern for you guys for the past couple of months. But wait, there's more. It's not just a wristlet pattern. For those who don't like wristlets, but like to carry a crossbody bag that is very small, please meet the wristlet version. So love this little guy. It fits perfectly right against your body. Doesn't even feel like you are carrying a crossbody purse or anything for that matter. I have been carrying this one for the past week and I've been very happy with it. So the runaround wristlet or the crossbody allows you to carry just your essentials, such as your phone, your wallet, your keys, a little bit of makeup, a pen, so just what you need. It's perfect for popping into the store real quick. So today's video is going to be all about the runaround wristlet. I do give you a little bit of feedback when we are making this particular runaround wristlet as to the changes in the pattern for the crossbody option. So this is the one that we're making today. I've added a little bit of extra bling to this bag to add some movement. We've added a tassel as well as a handmade bag charm that we sell on our website. So like this one so much. And I have done a separate introductory video on this bag, all of the features that it has to offer, the interfacing stabilizers, the skill level, everything that I recommend and you need to know all about the runaround wristlet. I'll put a link in the description box below so you guys can check that out. But we're just going to go ahead and jump in and start making the runaround wristlet right now. We'll begin by talking about all of the pieces that make up the runaround wristlet. In today's video, I am making the wristlet option. However, I will be pointing out the variances on the crossbody option throughout the video. When I sew up patterns, I like to group all of my fabric together. So here I have all of my exterior front pieces. Here's my exterior back, and then I have my lining pieces. Then I have my wristlet and my zipper tab right here pieces. So we'll go over each one of those. One other tip I wanted to point out is that this pattern requires multiple mirrored pieces. Whenever we have mirrored pieces, I like to go ahead and use my highlighter on the pattern piece itself to help me to see that it is a mirrored piece, so I don't accidentally cut two identical pieces and then have to go back and cut a mirrored piece. So that will save you some trouble right there if you do that. Another little tip, because the fabric is so directional or mirrored, in order to get your stabilizer pieces cut in the right direction so that it can be ironed on to the fabric itself, I do include this little note at the very, very beginning of the pattern pieces themselves. So I went ahead and cut this out, and I keep this with my pattern pieces so I can kind of refer to it and remind myself. And ultimately what this says is that the fabric and your pattern pieces should be placed right side up when cutting, with the exception of the mirrored pieces. Then your stabilizer should be placed with the glue side down and the pattern pieces right side up, again with the exception of the mirrored pieces. If you don't follow that, then you're not going to get your stabilizer with the glue side appropriately to where your wrong side of your fabric is. So make sure that you're following those instructions there that are in the pattern. We're going to first go over the pieces that are found both on the exterior front and the exterior back for the wristlet version. First off, we have pattern piece A. You need two of those in your exterior fabric mirrored. All of my patterns include these little tabs to help you keep everything organized. So here we have our mirrored pieces. And we have A1, which is our stabilizer. I recommend using Decaville Light as our stabilizer here. And that is ironed on 1/4 of an inch down from the top, and it is centered. So do that for both your exterior A pieces as well as your exterior A1 stabilizer pieces. And that is found right here on the front and the back of the bag. Next, we have the exterior bottom pieces. You need two of those that are mirrored. And you will find those on the exterior front, which is this piece here behind the slip pocket. And right here, this is the opposite piece on the back side. You do need to use a woven interfacing anytime you are working with quilting cotton. So I've got my sew woven fusible interfacing on the wrong side of my cotton pieces. You can go ahead and purchase that on our website if you'd like. And then I've got my stabilizer only on the back exterior piece right here. So that is this piece right here. So let me show you the difference in the stabilizer for the crossbody versus the wallet or the wristlet. So here is the wristlet. So pattern piece G is your exterior back stabilizer. And you can see we've got this portion cut out right here. That is to accommodate the zipper. So if you look at the pattern piece itself for pattern piece G, we want to cut this vertical line right here. And you're going to fold that down to cut out the stabilizer for the wristlet. If you are making the crossbody, you do not need to fold that down. You can go ahead and just cut the complete shape here for the crossbody option. Next, we have pattern piece C. You need 2 of those that are mirrored, and this is our exterior side pieces. You also need C1, which is our stabilizer. For this particular one, you're going to iron it on 1/2 of an inch down from the top and 1/2 of an inch over from this straight edge right here. And that is this piece right here on the front and the back. Pattern piece D is our flap. You need 1 exterior and you need 1 lining piece. You are also going to need D1, which is our stabilizer. D1 is ironed on 1/2 of an inch down from the top straight edge and centered. And our flap is right here. Now we have our slip pocket. So this is pattern piece E, our exterior slip pocket. You just need 1 of those. And you're going to need E1, which is our stabilizer. Iron that on 1/2 of an inch down and 1/2 of an inch over from these straight edges right here. That is this piece right here. And then we have pattern piece F, our slip pocket lining piece. Now I am using my exterior fabric on this particular one, but that is going to be that fabric right here on the back side of the slip pocket. So you need F, 1 of those. The remaining pieces for your back exterior are going to be H, which is our zipper facing right here. You don't see that piece while it's in the bag, but let me go ahead and show you how you do that. So the zipper facing, you're going to start off with cutting the rectangle with the pattern piece just like this. And then like on the other piece that I showed you, we're going to cut only the vertical line right here, fold this down on this line, and use that as a template to trace the cutout, or basically the line that we're going to end up sewing on right here. So that is what I've done for pattern piece H. I've already got that prepped out. And lastly, we have our zipper pocket, which is I. Now these 2 pieces right here, you do not need if you're making the crossbody bag because there is no zipper pocket on the back of the crossbody. And if you are choosing to make the wristlet with the option to carry crossbody, you cannot do the zipper pocket as well. And that is just because these strap connectors would get into the way of the actual zipper. So that is the difference between those 2. So you won't need those, but this is I. So this would be my pocket lining, which is right in there. And I like to keep my change inside that pocket. Now, if you are not making a wristlet and you don't have the pocket on the back right here, that's a zipper pocket, but you want a zipper pocket, you can completely go ahead and make that on your own if you'd like. So on this one, I did my own zipper pocket with a zipper overlay, and I just used this piece right here for my pocket lining, and then I crafted my own zipper overlay right there. So that way I can carry my credit cards here, and then inside of this pocket right here, I can keep my change and dollar bills. Now let's go ahead and go over the pieces for the lining. So we have pattern piece J. You need 2 of those in your lining fabric. Then we have K. This is our card and slip pocket pieces right here. So that is going to be, the slip pocket is this large one right here where I like to keep my cash. And then we have the slip pocket trim. So that is this piece right here. And so that is pattern piece L. And then on this side, we have the credit card slots. So I can keep 2 credit cards on each slot, so they fit fine, so I can carry in total 4 credit cards. So they're identical pieces. We just go ahead and sew down the center on this one to create the credit card slots. So you're going to need 2 of K. One is the credit card and one is the slip pocket, and 2 of L, which is going to be your trim for both of those. I have gone ahead and done my prep work on here by drawing a line down the center and applying a strip of double-sided tape along one side of the line. You can do both sides if you'd like. So that is our lining pieces. All right, next for the wristlet option, we have pattern piece M. This is our wristlet strap right here. And you are going to go ahead and draw a line down the center here and apply a strip of double-sided tape along both sides of the line, but keep the tape away from the final 1.5 to 2 inches right here. We don't want any double-sided tape there on either side. Now we have our zipper ends. There are 2 different ways to make our zipper ends depending on if you are using a non-fraying fabric such as vinyl or cork, or if you're using a fraying fabric, which would be your quilting cotton, you need to make it a little bit larger. And actually this should be turned this way. So let me show you the zipper end, and that is pattern piece N. The zipper end is right here. So this little piece right here. So when we're using vinyl or cork, all we need to do is fold it into half, and we're gonna tuck that zipper in there. But if we are doing the fraying fabric, you need to go ahead and fold this in 2 times. So in towards the center, tuck in your zipper, and then you're going to do it like that. So we'll show you that again later in the video. That's why there's 2 different pieces. So select the appropriate piece N, depending on the type of fabric that you're using. If you're making the crossbody strap, you are going to need the crossbody strap, and the measurements for that is 3 inches wide by 55 inches in length. If you want a longer crossbody strap because you're taller, then go ahead and cut it longer. You can go up to 60 inches, whatever you'd like to do. You may have to piece it together if you're creating a longer one and you don't have a long enough fabric, but you will need a crossbody strap. There is no pattern piece for that since it's just a straight cut. Another pattern piece that you would need for the cross body option is our strap connector, and that is pattern piece O. So you will need 2 strap connectors right there. And that is all of the fabric pieces that make up the runaround wristlet and or the crossbody option. Moving on to the hardware and zipper tape that you're going to need to make your runaround wristlet or the crossbody option. We do sell hardware kits on our website for both the wristlet, which is kit A, and kit B is for the crossbody. If you'd like your runaround wristlet to have the option to carry both as a wristlet as well as a crossbody, you will need to purchase both hardware kits. Let's first go over the kit A and what is included in that, or what you're going to need to purchase to make your runaround wristlet. So kit A includes 1 gate ring. The inner diameter of this gate ring is 28 millimeters. So I recommend at least a 28 millimeter in diameter gate ring or larger. You are going to need 2 grommets, but we are giving you 1 additional grommet in the kit. If you are new to installing grommets, you might make a mistake the very first time around, so that's why we've included 1 additional grommet for you. So we've got a grommet on the front and a grommet on the back of the wristlet, so you'll need 2 of those. And the grommets in the kit that we have here have an inner diameter of 13.5 millimeters. So I would recommend at least 12 to 13.5 millimeter inner diameter for your grommets. If you're not familiar with grommets, you are going to need a tool in order to set your grommets for this particular style. We don't recommend the grommets that have the screw-in option on the back because it can be a little bit challenging to install those since this is a smaller bag, and trying to go ahead and get a screwdriver in there to go ahead and screw the back shut. So I don't recommend those. But if you're up for that challenge, go right ahead. You need 1 3/4 inch wide snap hook, and that is the one right here on the wristlet strap. And you're also going to need a rivet. So 1 rivet right here. We've also thrown in 1 additional rivet for you just in case you have any issues with your first rivet and trying to install it. We just wanted to give you 1 extra one there. And then you are also going to get a magnetic snap for your flap closure. So 1 magnetic snap. Now you can do the magnetic snap like I've done on this one. But if you'd like to have the look of a turn lock on your flap closure right here, we do sell turn locks that are sold separately. These are not included in the kit. So you guys can go ahead and check that out. We have 5 different finishes available: nickel, light gold, rose gold, gunmetal, and antique brass for the turn locks. And that is all that you're going to get for kit A. So for kit B, you are going to get the magnetic snap. You are going to get 2 3/4 inch wide snap hooks for your strap. You are going to get 2 3/4 inch wide D-rings, which are right there. You are going to get 1 wide mouth strap slider, which is right here. You are going to get 2 3/4 inch wide strap ends. And then you are going to get 6 rivets in total. So you're going to need 2 rivets for the back. You're going to need 2 rivets here, and then completely up to you. You can do 2 rivets here. I've only done 1. So that is a total of 6 rivets. So that is all of the hardware that you're going to need. For your zipper tape, you are going to need a 9.5 inch wide number 5 zipper, or I should say zipper tape. So that is for the main zipper closure right here. You are also going to need a 7.5 inch zipper for the wristlet only, which is the back of the bag right here, as well as a number 5 zipper pull. The crossbody doesn't have the zipper pocket in the back, so therefore you do not need this. And our zipper tape and zipper pulls are not included in the kit, but you can purchase those separately on our website at sewyours.com. The first step is going to be to construct our pocket flap and install our magnetic snap onto our lining side. Now I'm still kind of undecided at this moment if I want to do my bag tag on the exterior of the flap and a magnetic snap on the lining, or if I just want to go with a turn lock. So I haven't decided, but I think I'm leaning towards the turn lock on this one. I like the rounded shape here of the flap and the roundness of this turn lock. So I think I'm going to go with the turn lock as we're speaking right here. So this is going to vary just slightly from what the pattern says, but I can still walk you through how to go ahead and do your magnetic snap on your pocket flap, which is pattern piece D. So what you're going to need to do is grab pattern piece D, and here is the placement for the male side of the magnetic snap. So all you have to do is punch a hole in your pattern piece. I like using this little mat right here to protect my mat here, and use this Japanese hole punch to punch my hole for where I need to mark my magnetic snap. And then grab your lining. So this is my exterior and this is my lining. And I'm going to place my lining right side up, wrong side up, either way, doesn't matter, and line up the pattern piece here with my fabric. Then I will use my air erasable pen to transfer the marking. And that from there, you just go ahead and proceed to install your magnetic snap as usual, which I'm going to skip since I'm not doing the magnetic snap, but go ahead and do that now if you want to do your magnetic snap, and it will be the male portion of your magnetic snap. After you have installed the male portion of your magnetic snap, place your lining and your exterior's right sides together and clip them into place. Take this over to your sewing machine and sew along this curved edge at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Do not sew the top edge. Once you have that sewn, you're going to trim your seam allowance down to about 1/8 inch. Then come in and clip some notches around the curves without clipping the stitching itself. Turn right side out. I'm going to continue to finger press, then top stitch around the curved edge at 1/8 inch. Okay, my pocket flap is now top stitched. At this point, you can go ahead and add a bag tag if you have chosen to do a bag tag. Make sure you're only installing that into the exterior side of your pocket flap. But since I'm doing the turn lock, I'm going to go ahead and install that now. I've done a separate video on my YouTube channel on how to install these turn locks, so if you guys want to check that out, just look at my other videos on my channel. Once I get that installed, I'm going to base stitch the top straight edge here closed. I have half of my turn lock now installed, this base stitched closed, so I can set this aside. The next thing that we want to do is install our female magnetic snap on the exterior slip pocket piece, which is this piece right here. So just like you did on the other one, use the pattern piece here to transfer the marking for your female magnetic snap and place that. However, if you are doing a turn lock like me, I'll quickly show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to grab the bottom exterior, or I should call it the exterior bottom, which is pattern piece B. And then I'm going to lay my exterior slip pocket E on top of it, matching the bottom edge. And then I'm also going to grab uh, the pattern piece for the exterior bottom right here and just slightly offset that from the top edge. And there is this line here where we're going to be matching our flap center with. So I need to mark that out so that way I know where I need to line up the opposite side of my turn lock. So find the center of your flap, which I already have. I made a little notch in there, and place that where I made that line. And now I have an idea of where I need to go ahead and place the opposite portion of my turn lock. So I just made my mark, so that's where I need to do it. I am probably going to shift that up just about 1/8 of an inch into this direction. That's going to give me the additional room that I need whenever I'm sliding my cell phone in, because that's going to pucker out a little bit. So I recommend coming up about 1/8 of an inch from where you have placed your marking. So now I'm going to go ahead and install this portion, which is the male portion of my turn lock, into the exterior piece of my slip pocket right here. I've installed the male portion of my turn lock, and if you're doing the magnetic snap, that'll be your female portion of your magnetic snap. Now grab pattern piece F, your slip pocket lining piece. Place that right sides together, making sure that you've got that slanted side in the right direction, so it goes from smaller to larger as it goes down. Since my turn lock is sticking out significantly, I'm not really going to be able to clip this into place, so I'll just kind of hold it into place when I take it over to my sewing machine and sew along the top straight edge right here at 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Now that that's sewn, we're going to turn it right side out. You can press with an iron or finger press and top stitch along the top edge right here at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. I am going to be using my narrow foot on my sewing machine to get past the turn lock right here because it is relatively close. Okay, now that that is top stitched, we can move on. And one thing I did not point out earlier is that you can see that the magnetic snap or your turn lock is slightly off to the left. That is intentional in the way that it is supposed to be. Grab your pattern piece B, exterior bottom. Place the slip pocket now on top of that. And we're only going to clip the slip pocket lining, which is F, onto the exterior bottom piece. Once you have confirmed that your bottom edges are matching, take this over to your sewing machine, flip the exterior portion right here out of the way, and you're going to sew this down with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that I have sewn that down, it's time to trim away this excess. So I'm going to use my rotary cutter and just trim it even with the slip pocket lining. And this is removing the extra bulk that we no longer need there. Now we can go ahead and clip everything together on the sides. And base stitch along the left and the right hand side. Okay, my slip pocket on the front exterior is now complete. Now grab pattern piece B, your exterior bottom, and you're going to go ahead and mark the placement of your where your flap center needs to be. So you can go ahead and place it just underneath or just above, offset, so you can see that mark. And you just want to transfer that over to your exterior bottom piece. Find the center of your flap if you haven't done that already. And we're going to take this over to our sewing machine and base stitch this into place. So we're matching the center of the flap with the marking on the exterior bottom piece. Base stitch that into place with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, now that that's base stitched into place, grab your exterior top A piece. Make sure that you have the piece that has the slant going down and out towards this direction, and the straight edge is here on the left hand side. Match up the straight edges first of the exterior bottom and the exterior top pieces. Clip this into place. Sew this on with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Turn this right side out and top stitch along the exterior top piece at 1/8 of an inch. That's been top stitched. Now grab your exterior side piece, which is C, the one with the straight edge that is on the right hand side. Match up the straight edge here of your exterior front. Clip this into place. Sew this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Turn right side out and top stitch along the exterior side at 1/8 inch. And there you have it. Our exterior front is now complete. So we can go ahead and set this aside. Let's move on to our back exterior. So here I have my remaining exterior bottom B piece with my stabilizer ironed onto it already, and that is pattern piece G. You are ironing it on 1/2 inch over from the straight edge and 1/2 inch up from the bottom edge right here. Now this is going to be the difference between the wristlet and the crossbody. So for the crossbody, do not follow this portion here with the zipper pocket. You're going to hold tight until we sew the remaining top exterior to the bottom exterior in just a moment. So let's go ahead and take our zipper facing, and if you didn't watch the video earlier, take pattern piece H, cut along this line, fold along this line to use this as a template to trace out where we need to do our stitching on our zipper facing. So I've got those lines already transferred over to the wrong side of my zipper facing. Match up the top edge of the zipper facing with the top edge of your exterior bottom piece. Clip that into place and sew along the lines that you went ahead and drew. Now that that is sewn, we need to trim away the excess right here. So trim in really closely to the stitching at about 1/8 inch. And then you're going to come in and trim right into this corner without trimming the stitches. Now you can turn everything right side, or I don't know if it's right side out, wrong side out. Not exactly sure how you would refer to it, but we're going to turn all this to the back. Now you can see here when I do this and I let go, it wants to fight and not stay put. So what I recommend doing is using the pattern piece H right here to indicate where the bottom edge of our zipper facing is going to end up on our wrong side of our exterior bottom. So I'm going to grab my pen and just quickly trace along this bottom edge right here. That's going to tell me where that's going to sit when we turn it right side out, wrong side out, however you want to say it. Grab your double-sided tape and just above where you drew that line, apply a strip of double-sided tape. And also apply some double-sided tape around the middle portion right here. Now we can go ahead and remove the paper backing from the double-sided tape and begin to turn this to the back side. And I'm pulling it pretty tightly as I'm doing it and matching it up to that line that I drew. And I'm going to use my finger to kind of push this out. Now you can see that helps me a lot in order to keep that into place. Now I see here I didn't pull it quite tight enough right here, so I'm going to reposition. Set this aside for a moment. Grab your 7.5-inch zipper with your zipper pull installed, as well as pattern piece I, which is your zipper pocket. And we're going to take the zipper, place it along the shorter side right here, clip this into place, and sew this on with an 1/8 inch base stitch. Now that that's sewn on, we are going to bring the opposite end of our zipper pocket lining right here to the wrong side of the zipper tape. Clip this into place and base stitch this on with a 1/8 inch seam allowance so you can see the entire outside of the zipper. Here is my zipper pocket so far. I have added some double-sided tape along the bottom edge of the zipper tape, and the bottom edge is now determined by the zipper pocket being closed and the zipper pull to the left. So add a strip of double-sided tape right here. My double-sided tape is 1/4 inch wide, which is perfect because I actually need to measure in 1/4 inch from this bottom edge right here of the zipper tape, because that's going to tell me where I need to place it on my back exterior. So I just made a little mark with my air erasable pen on the zipper tape. I'm going to remove the paper backing from my double-sided tape. And then I'm very carefully going to place the back exterior on top. So I'm matching up this edge right here of my back exterior with that 1/4 inch marking that I just made, and trying to make sure that the zipper tape and teeth and all that are even with this sewn edge here of my exterior. And I'm going to move my zipper over here, and the top edge of your zipper tape should meet up with the top edge here of the exterior back. The next thing that I want to do is take this over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew down this edge, but I don't want my pocket to be in this direction, or I'll sew my pocket closed. So very carefully flip your pocket to the opposite side so that it's out of the way. Come in and sew at 1/8 inch along the straight edge, stopping at 1/8 inch from this edge right here. So the next thing that we want to do is we are going to close our pocket up. I still have not sewn this portion yet. So we're going to flip this out of the way and sew down the edge of the pocket here at a 5/8 inch seam allowance. I have sewn my pocket shut, so I need to go ahead and trim away the excess. And now it's time for me to continue stitching from where I left off on this straight row right here. So I'm going to pick up and sew at 1/8 inch away up until this side, and that'll go ahead and secure this little piece right here to the zipper tape. The next step is to go ahead and sew down this edge right here to close up the opposite side of the pocket. My zipper pocket is now complete. I'm making sure not to pull my zipper pull off of the edge because I didn't stitch it closed. But here is the pocket. Now it's time for us to grab our exterior top, which is pattern piece A. And this is where, if you were making the crossbody option, you would pick back up with the video and follow along. You will need to make your strap connectors, which I've got right here. Very simple to do. So make your strap connectors and place them as instructed to do so in the pattern. And you will now follow along like we are making the wristlet. So take and put the right sides together, matching up the straight edge first. Clip this into place just like we did on the front, and sew along this top straight edge at 1/4 inch. Turn right side out and top stitch along this edge at 1/8 inch. Grab your remaining side panel right here, place it right sides together, clip this into place, and sew that on with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Turn right side out and top stitch along the side panel right here at 1/8 inch. Our back exterior is now complete. Let's set this aside. Let's work on our card slip pockets. I've already started one of them. So here you can see that I've got right sides together. I sewed down the left and the right hand side with a folded edge here at the bottom. So I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Sewing along this side and the right side at 1/4 inch. After you've sewn that together, trim your seam allowances down to about 1/8 inch. Turn right side out like I've done on this one, and take this over to your iron to press both of them flat. Base stitch the top raw edge closed at 1/8 inch. I've already done that for both. Then you are going to grab your card and slip pocket trim pieces, draw a line down the center, and apply a piece of double-sided tape along one side of the line. You can do both if you'd like. Remove the paper backing and line up the raw edge of the slip pocket with the line that you drew on the slip pocket trim. And now we can fold over the top edge to make a binding. Clip this into place. And sew this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and do that for both of your card and slip pockets. Grab both of your lining pieces that are pattern piece J. You are going to measure down 1 inch from the top center and place both of your slip pockets and card pockets onto it. Sew along the left side, bottom side, and the right side on one, and the other one do the same thing, but you're going to divide it down the center to create 2 credit card slots. Let's recap what we've done so far. We've got our exterior front complete, our exterior back, and both of our lining panels. Let's go ahead and start with our zipper. I've already done one side of it, but we want to round this off. And the way that you do that is you're going to go ahead and create a triangle by folding this right sides together. And I'm going to try to get my fingers out of the way so you can see what I'm doing right here. So you're going to fold it so that it goes around like this. And then we're going to flip this triangle to the back side, like this. And when I take this over to my sewing machine, I use my stiletto. I could never do this without a stiletto. So use your stiletto and get everything positioned, keeping it held into place with your stiletto while you drop the presser foot on top. And you're just going to sew down the edge right here at about 1/8 inch, just to secure the sides together, so you can see here what it looks like from the side and from the back. So do that for both the left and the right hand side, trying to get the rounded edges to be even with each other. The ends of my zipper are now rounded over and sewn into place, and I've also trimmed my zipper tape down on this end so that it measures exactly 8¼ inches in length. From here, we want to add our zipper end. So if you're using the quilting cotton, go ahead and draw a line down the shorter side right here. Fold in your raw edges to meet the center line. Then you're going to place the end of the zipper so that it meets up with that line that you drew, and wrap everything around and sew along this edge at a 1/8 inch. If you're using non-frame fabric like I am, you are going to draw down the 1.5 inch side, and you are going to put the end of the zipper right there at that line. Fold this over, and sew this on with 1/8 inch seam allowance. After you have sewn on your zipper end, trim down the ends of the zipper end so that they are even with the zipper tape. Next, you are going to grab your exterior front and your exterior back pieces. Measure over 3/4 inch from this outside edge and draw a line. Repeat that for the opposite side, and do that for the back exterior as well, 3/4 inch in from both sides. Place your zipper tape right sides together with the exterior panel, and that is going to fit perfectly in between the 2 markings that you just made. Sew this on with a base stitch of 1/8 inch. Once that's sewn on, we are going to grab one of our lining panels. It's completely up to you as to which one you use. I'm going to go ahead and use the one with the credit card slots. Place that right sides together with the exterior. Clip this into place and sew this on with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Turn this right side out. Now we are going to grab our exterior back. Place those right sides together, matching up the edge of the zipper with the marking that you made at a 3/4 inch in, and that will be centered perfectly with the opposite marking. Clip this into place, base stitch with 1/8 inch seam allowance. All right, now this is where we are at. We've got the exterior attached to our zipper tape, and we have one lining panel. Let's attach the remaining lining panel. So this is the one that I have with the slip pocket in. I am going to place the lining right sides together, matching up the edges. Clip this into place and sew that with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, that is now sewn on. So we are going to turn everything right side out, and we are going to carefully make sure that our lining is pulled taut away from the direction of the zipper. We are going to take this over to our sewing machine. We are going to start sewing here where the zipper starts and sew along this edge at 1/8 of an inch all the way down. Stop about 1/8 of an inch away from the end of the zipper end right here. You're going to pivot on your machine. So across the zipper end here at 1/8 of an inch. Then you are going to come back, pivot, and stitch along this side of the zipper tape and the exterior top piece right here, stopping right here where the zipper tape ends. So that's what I'm going to do right now. All the while when you're doing this, you are making sure that that lining is pulled nice and tight. So take your time while you're top stitching and make sure that everything is positioned appropriately. Okay, my top stitching is now complete. Now it's time to put right sides together. So I'm going to take my exterior and bring them together and bring my lining together like this. I start off with the exterior and I make sure that I match up the top edges of the exterior right here, pinch them together and clip them into place. I flip it over and I am paying attention to the two portions right here where the top and the bottom are sewn together, and I make sure to get those matched up. Now also place a clip right where the exterior meets the lining. Now I'm going to continue to clip around the edge of the exterior. I also want to make sure that where the side panel and the exterior bottom are sewn together, that each of the front and the back meet up and are matched up. I've got that clipped. So there my exterior is clipped. Let's repeat the same process for the lining side. The lining is slightly smaller than the exterior, and that is so that the lining will fit snug inside of the exterior when we turn everything right side out. So don't be alarmed if you've noticed that the lining is a little bit smaller. You want to also open up your zipper. I always forget to do that, but it's pretty easy. You can usually use your finger to kind of press it open just like that. So open up your zipper. We need that open so we can turn it right side out. Now it's time for us to go ahead and sew it all up at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You want to make sure that you're leaving about a 5 to 6 inch gap here in the lining so that we can turn everything right side out. I personally like to start sewing here on the exterior. I sew down the right side right here and making sure that I back stitch. Then I pick up and I start sewing along the bottom edge. Then I sew along this edge, and then I like to go in and do my lining, leaving that 5 to 6 inch gap here in the lining and finishing it off on this side as well. So let me get the exterior and the lining sewn up at 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, I've got that sewn together. Now it's time for me to trim down my seam allowance to about 1/4 of an inch. So let me get that done. Don't trim where you've left the opening. So there is our opening, but we need to box our corners. So I slide my hand into the opening to help me to get my corners boxed. So you are trying to get this side seam and bottom seam matched up when you are boxing your corners. And I like to just go ahead and take the seam allowance on one side in one direction and the seam allowance on the other side in the other direction to kind of nest them away from each other. Clip those into place, and you are going to take this over to your sewing machine and sew this with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Do that for all 4 of your corners. Trim down the seam allowance on your corners. Turn this right side out through the opening left here in the lining. I'm going to do this off camera. All right, I've got her turned right side out. Now I recommend grabbing something to help you to get the little corner here kind of pulled up in the way that it should be. So I've got just a little screwdriver right here to kind of help bump that up and also to push out the side. And this is what my runaround wristlet is looking like thus far. Now I want to pull my lining out and close up the hole in my lining. I'm just going to fold in those raw edges right here. Clip this into place. So I'm just going to sew that closed with 1/8 of an inch. Once that's closed up, put your lining back inside of your runaround wristlet, pushing those corners. So you can see that our lining fits nice and tightly inside. The next step that we have to do is we are going to install our grommets for the wristlet option. And if you are doing the crossbody option, then you'll move on to constructing your crossbody strap, attaching your crossbody strap hardware, and then you will be finished. I am not going to go over that in this video, as I've done a bunch of other videos where I make crossbody straps. So let's go ahead and get the grommets installed now. I've got all of my supplies out in order to install my grommets. I like to use this hollow punch set that I purchased on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box below. And I select the punch that is closest to my grommet size without being bigger. So this one is just a hair smaller than my grommet size. So I'm going to be using this to punch my hole. I use the grommet itself, like the washer portion or the smaller portion, and I eyeball it where I want it to be. It is roughly about a 1/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch down from the sewn edge right here, and 3/4 of an inch in from this edge right here. And this is what it would look like once it's installed. So right there. So I start off with the first one and I trace the inside with my air erasable pen, which I've already done. So you just trace that so you know where it needs to be. I use this additional sturdy cutting mat right here, and I insert it inside of the runaround wristlet, making sure that my lining is nice and tight against the exterior. And I can either go ahead now and use my hollow punch set right here and line that up and punch it, hammer it here with my hammer. Or I can take this over to my arbor press to press the hole. I'm going to use my arbor press, so I'm going to get that cut out. Now you could also use an X-Acto knife to cut the hole and a pair of scissors. However you want to cut the hole, you can do it. I find that the hollow punch set is the easiest and quickest way to do it. So let me get that done for the first side here on the front. Apparently, I forgot to turn on my microphone, so I've got to do a voiceover for the next following clips. So here you can see I've cut out my hole, and now we need to proceed to cut out the hole on the back exterior. And the way that I do that is I fold this into half, making sure my lining is nice and flush against the wrong side of my exterior there. And all I do is take my hollow punch set and push it through the hole that I just created and use my arbor press once again to cut the hole into the back exterior. You could use the hammer if you're using a hammer as well. So I'm going to get that done right now. Here is both holes cut out and the lining side as well. Now it's time to insert our grommet. So you're going to place that inside of the hole and grab that washer side, so the smaller side with the bump on the outside. So there's going to be like a concave side and then a bumped out side. The bumped out side is the side that we want to be on the outside. Place that on the back side of your grommet and take this over to your press and set the grommet. Repeat for the opposite side as well. Here's a quick look at the grommets installed. Let's make our wristlet strap. So draw a line down the length of the wristlet strap in the center. Apply a strip of double-sided tape along each side of the line, but do not put the tape within 1.5 to 2 inches of the short edges right there. Remove the paper backing and fold in the long raw edge to meet the center line and do that for both sides. Now begin by folding it to half once more and clipping it into place. Continue folding in half and then add your 3/4 inch wide snap hook to your wristlet strap. I have capitalized and underlined this in the sewing pattern to remind you to do this. I can't tell you how many times I have forgotten to add my snap hook to my wristlet strap before sewing it together. So please do make sure to add your snap hook at this time. Bring the short raw edges right sides together. You are going to clip this into place and sew this with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once you've sewn that, you are going to open that up, take the seam allowance to the opposite sides of each other, and continue folding the wristlet strap in half and clipping it into place. You want to distribute that bulk of the seam allowance along the wristlet strap. Sew down the open side at 1/8 inch seam allowance, and then sew down the opposite side at 1/8 inch seam allowance, making sure that you slide the snap hook out of the way as you are sewing around the circle. Now we need to fold the wristlet strap in half, and you won't be able to get that seam there right in the center. You're going to have to offset that just a bit because of the bulk of the seam allowance in there. So you can see right here, that is the seam. And we're going to take our leather hole punch and punch a hole for a rivet. All that's left is to add our gate ring to our grommets. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that on right now, and then attach our wristlet strap to the gate ring. Now, if your wristlet strap, or I should say the snap hook, doesn't quite fit around the gate ring, you could always open up the gate ring and then slide the snap hook inside of there, as I'm showing you right here. One of the testers ran into that problem, and that was a suggested solution, so I just wanted to point that out. All right, guys, here is my completed run around wristlet. I added a bag charm. This is our handmade bag charm that we sell on our website, as well as one of these tassels that I made with the tassel caps that we sell on our website. So this adds a little additional bling and movement to my run around wristlet. Not that it needed more bling, because this is pretty blingy as it is. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments box below. Purchase the hardware kit or kits, as well as the pattern on our website at sewyours.com. Now that I've sewn mine, it's time to sew yours.